Yeah, I got a copy on that. The truckers and everybody else rebelling against 55 speed limits. Hey, how you doing? Today, chicken fingers, some mozzarella sticks, and a couple of fries. Oh, I got my honey mustard sauce there, and I got some marinara for those mozzarella sticks. But most important, my favorite beer. Yeah. It was a little rough there in the early 70s. A little rough. It all started in 73 with the oil crisis. I got this chicken fingers and all this from a little Italian place down the road. Not bad. Because they do delivery. But I was hungry for some chicken fingers tonight, so worked out good. So, the oil crisis in 73. A lot of it was political reasons and government stuff and all that. But just to sum it up, the oil prices started climbing like crazy. And of course, so did the gasoline and everything else. And the U.S. wasn't producing as much oil as what it needed for the growing number of vehicles on the road and stuff. So the federal government decided by 74 that they would impose a speed limit of 55 miles per hour. So that meant all of the states had to go by that because it was federal that they decided it. It was a pretty serious problem with the crisis because a lot of the states started alternating days that you could get gasoline. So it was based off your license plate. The last number in your license plate determined if you could go on like odd or even days to get gas. So you couldn't just get gas any day you wanted to. And the lines were pretty bad, the lines at the gas stations. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of the gas stations were simply labeled as Exxon or Sunoco or Esso or whatever oil company owned that gas station. But the gas stations were different. They weren't like today at these mini marts, where they'll have 10 or 15 pumps outside. The typical gas stations had like 2 or 3 pumps. And they weren't on every corner like it is today. Today you can go down a couple of blocks and there's a gas station, there's a gas station, there's a gas station. And all of them could have, 10, 12 pumps. And in the early days of the gas stations, you didn't pump the gas yourself. You had these attendants at the gas station. So you would pull into the gas pump and roll your window down and tell the gas station attendant, yeah, I want to get $8 worth of leaded gasoline, because it wasn't all unleaded. There was leaded gasoline as well. In fact, at that point, it was called regular gasoline. So, if your car took regular gasoline, okay, fine. You just tell the guy, $8 worth of regular. At that point, the odd one was unleaded. And I always thought it was kind of odd. So the guy would pump your gas, and say you would give him a 20. And he would reach in his pocket and pull out a roll of money that was insane. And he would have ones and fives and tens and all this stuff. But the roll of bills was extremely thick for what you think the gas station attendant probably should have been carrying. But then he would flip through, get your change, give it to you at the window, and off you would go. Now, at the meantime that he was pumping the gas, he would also go around, clean your windshields and stuff, Check your oil, pop the hood open, check the oil, and then he'd come around and tell you, hey, you might be like a quart low on your oil. You want me to get that too, And, oh yeah, go ahead, take care of that too. He'd put a quart of oil in there, That's just the way it was. It wasn't like Like now, you pull into one of these mini marts, there's no attendant there at all, and you get your card out and put it in the gas thing and pay for the stuff yourself and pump your own gas. And if you got to check your oil, you check it by yourself. The gas stations didn't have these card readers on the gas pumps. They didn't exist at the time. That all came later with all the technology and the advancements in credit card reading and everything else. And just like there were no credit card readers at the gas pumps or anything, there weren't at the stores either. So if you went to a store, J.C. Penney's or Bon-Ton or Macy's or whatever, and you bought some stuff and you wanted to put it on a credit card, they would take your credit card, put one of these slips in there with carbon paper on it, and wrench this piece of little equipment to the side, roll it back to that side, and it would make an imprint of your credit card. That's how it used to be back then. And then, sometimes you would sign a little receipt thing so that the store could prove, yeah, this is his credit card and this is his signature. Then they would send that in to the credit card place and get paid for it for their self. And then it would show up the next month, like on your credit card statement bill. But back to this oil crisis. So yeah, there was long lines. There was alternating days that you could buy fuel. Well, a lot of people got upset with this speed limit 55 thing. Including the truckers, because they made a living hauling stuff across the highways. And when the feds came out and said 55 was across the nation, I mean, they started complaining that they wouldn't be able to make a living and stuff because it would take them that much longer to transport the goods. So then a lot of songs and movies and stuff started popping up with sort of an undertone of rebelling against this whole speed limit thing. Including one that's probably one of the most famous was McCall writing the song Convoy. That was huge. That song came out in 75. And then it became so big, they also made a movie out of it. That movie came out in like 78 or so. But there was a bunch of the movies and stuff too. Like 77, Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed were in that movie, Smokey and the Bandit, and Sally Fields. And there was even sequels to that. That movie was about them hauling goods and stuff. So, and of course, the troubles they got into with the police and everything. And this continued for quite a few years. So you probably remember the song too that Sammy Hagar did. I Can't Drive 55. That was a pretty good hit for him. But it really told the story of the rebellion. And it wasn't just the truckers, it was everybody, that did not like the idea of the speed limit being 55. So Hagar wrote that song in like 84 because I think the story is he was in New York and he got a speeding ticket for doing like 61 or 62 in a 55. That's a little crazy. And so eventually it started to slack off, and by 87 or so, the feds started saying, okay, on interstates and stuff in rural areas, the states can increase the speed limits to 65. And even in Pennsylvania here, the turnpike, one of the big interstates, is still 65. But then eventually, by like 94, the feds, I think, just said, okay, that's it. We're not controlling the state's speed limits anymore, and gave back all the rights to the speed limits to the states. And so I know I was driving not too long ago out in the Midwest, and it's like 75. You know, a lot of it's flat, open road, you know what I mean? But a lot of it was people rebelling against, at 55, you know, how much longer it takes to get somewhere. And I think that was part of Hagar's song, even, was that it takes 16 hours to get to LA, you know, at 55 miles an hour. Now, in the beginning, that the reason the feds did that, of course, was because they had determined that 55 would was the speed limit where the cars would get the best fuel economy and stuff. So their goal was to reduce the fuel consumption. Now, along the way in the early 70s, there were also these lanes for HOV, you know, high occupancy vehicles. So they tried to do stuff to encourage people to carpool and stuff like that. So there were certain lanes created for HOV lanes where only cars containing a certain number of people could drive, like more than two. So, like, if you had 5 or 6 people that you worked with that were going at the same time, you could just use the HOV lane. And that, too, was set to help conserve fuel because you're carpooling, and also the growing concerns about pollution and stuff. So it was a sort of two-edged sword for the states. And a lot of those still exist today, too. But that's about it for this meal. Until the next time, take care of yourself. I'll see you later.